Next game, Miami Heat traveling to Washington to take on the Wizards. 7 o'clock, nation's capital. The Heat are the 5-point favorite on the road. Total at 231.5. Money's on the Heat and the over. Miami open 4.5 up to -5. Total open 231 up to 231 and a hook. 51% of the consensus are leaning toward Miami. 58% shaded toward the over. Right now, Washington's plus 175 on the money line. Now, if you like the Wizards to cover the number at home here, you might not be in a bad spot. They're 5-2 against the spread in their last 7. They rank in the top 10 in scoring on average per game, top 5 in offensive three-point percentage as well. They're 17-13 against the spread on their home court, and they're 3-0 against the spread in their prior 3 games taking on Miami. Now, Robinson is listed as questionable, but Bradley Beal, 31 points a game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Davis Bertans, 15 points a game, 5 rebounds for him. Washington, top 10 in home scoring, and they are 13-9 against the spread, taking on teams over 550, getting the job done against a number against top caliber teams. Now, Miami on the other side, they're just 42% against the number as the official road favorite, 13-19 straight up on the road. Crowder's out. Leonard and Harrow are still out indefinitely. Miami, bottom 10 in road scoring, 30% against the spread in their last 10. Now, the Heat are 80% to the over in their last 10. Washington, 5-3 to the over in their last 8. I'm going to lean Wizards plus 5 in the over 231.5 in that game. Next matchup, Magic, Rockets, 7 o'clock, Houston. The Rockets are laying 8 points, total at 231.5. Money's on Orlando and the under in this one. We saw a 1-point fade of Houston and movement downward on the total. I would say that Houston number is going to continue to dip with their pretty bad performance last night. But anyway, Houston open as the 9-point favorite down to -8. Total open 232.5 down to 231 and a hook. Right now the Magic are plus 335 on the money line. Orlando 70% against the spread in their last 10. 19-13 against the spread when traveling. Orlando ranks in the top 5 in points allowed, and they are 3.5 games ahead of Washington for the 8th seed. So the season ended today. Orlando would be in the playoffs. Nick Vucevic, 20 points a game, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Evan Fournier, 19 points a game, 3 assists for him. And Aaron Gordon, 14, 8, and 4 for the big guy. Houston on the other side, losers of their last 3 straight. 1-5 against the spread in their last 6. The Rockets rank in the bottom 10 in offensive field goal percentage, bottom 10 in points allowed. Now, 3 out of Houston's last 4 did stay under the total. They're also 60% to the under in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the road dog in this one. Give me Orlando plus 8 and the under 231.5 in that contest. Next matchup, Pacers versus the Mavericks, 7 o'clock, Dallas. The Mavs are laying 6.5 at home, total 219. Now, we are seeing money on the Pacers and the under in this one. We saw a 0.5-point fade of Dallas and movement downward on the total. The Mavs open 7, down to -6.5. Total open 221, down to 219. Right now, the Pacers are plus 230 on the money line. But if you like Indiana in this matchup here, Brogdon's still out indefinitely. Oladipo, Warren, and McDermott, they are questionable. Indiana, bottom 10 in scoring, bottom 10 in offensive rebounding. They're just 7-9 against the spread when catching points. And they're 37% against the spread in their games that tipped off at the current number. Now, Dallas on the other side, they're 67% against the spread in their games that tipped off at the current number themselves. They also successfully covered the point spread in their last matchup with Indiana. Dallas ranks in the top 3 in scoring, top 5 in offensive rebounding. They are 3-1 straight up in their last 4, 7-3 straight up in their last 10. The Mavs rank in the top 5 in defending the 3-ball, top 10 in road scoring. Now, Curry's out. Hardaway and Finney-Smith are questionable, but you got Luka Doncic, 28 a game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, nearly averaging a triple-double. Kristaps Porzingis, 20 points a game, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Dallas is 7th in the West, 14 games over 500, and they're just 4.5 games back of the 2nd seed in the West, believe it or not. Very tight race in the Western Conference. Now, total-wise, the Mavs are 19-13 to the over at home. Indiana, 3-1 to the over in their last 4. I'm going to lean Dallas -6.5 and the over 219 in that game. Next matchup, Detroit taking on the Knicks, 7:30 New York. The Knicks are laying 5.5, total 211. We are seeing money on the Knicks and the under in this one. a 1-point move toward New York, and a 1-point move downward on the total. The Knicks open 4.5 up to -5.5. Total open 212 down to 211. 61% of the consensus are leaning toward the Knicks. And right now the Pistons are plus $2 on the money line. Now Detroit, they've successfully covered the number in their last 4 straight. They're also 6-2 ATS in their last 8. Detroit ranks in the top 10 in offensive three-point percentage, top 10 in defensive rebounding. They're 8-2 in their last 10 head-to-head matchups with the Knicks. If you're into historical trends, they went 60% against the number in that same category. Now, New York, on the other side, losers of 8 out of their last 10. They've also won just 10 out of 32 home games this year. They're currently in 13th place in the East at 25 games under 500. They rank in the bottom 3 in scoring, bottom 10 in offensive field goal percentage. Now, 6 out of New York's last 7 did get over the total. Meanwhile, Detroit 6-2 to the over in their last 8. I'm going to lean Pistons plus 5.5 and the over 211 in that contest. Next game, Spurs, Cavaliers, 7:30 Cleveland. The Spurs are laying 5.5 on the road, total 224. Money's on the Spurs and the over. San Antonio open 4.5 up to -5.5. Total open 223 up to 224. 52% of the consensus is leaning toward the over in this one. And right now, Cleveland's plus $1.85 on the money line. Now, the Cavs have dropped 4 out of their last 5 games. They also went just 13-22 against the spread on their home court. They currently have the worst record in the Eastern Conference at just 18-45 overall. They've also won just 10 out of 35 home games. Cleveland, bottom 5 in scoring, bottom 10 in points allowed. Drummond's questionable, Garland's out. Cleveland, bottom 10 in offensive field goal percentage, dead last in defensive field goal percentage. Now, San Antonio on the other side, don't get me wrong, they've been pretty bad in certain spots this year, but as bad as they've been, they're still covering 50% of their games on the road this year, and they're 4-4 against the spread in their last 8 as the official road favorite. They rank the top 10 in offensive field goal percentage, top 10 in road scoring. Now, Aldridge and Bellinelli, they're out. We're not going to see those guys. Lonnie Walker's questionable, but DeMar DeRozan, 22 a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Patty Mills, 12 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists for him. So they do have some guys that can ball when they're banged up. Now, total-wise, San Antonio, 70% to the over in their last 10, 21-11 to the over when they travel. Meanwhile, 3 out of Cleveland's last 4 got over the total themselves. They're also 20-15 to the over on their home court. I'm going to lean San Antonio minus 5.5 and the over 224 in that game. Next and final matchup for the show, it is going to be Toronto taking on the Kings, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Raptors are laying 6 points on the road, total 226.5. We are seeing a little bit of money on Toronto in the early wagering here. Not a whole lot of movement on this total as of yet. Toronto open 5.5 up to -6. Totals 226.5. 63% are leaning Toronto. 56% shaded toward the over. Right now the Kings are plus $2 on the money line. Now if you like the Kings in this matchup here at home, they are 4-1 straight up in their last 5. 80% against the spread in their last 10. They successfully covered the number against the likes of OKC, Los Angeles, and Memphis twice during that stretch. They rank in the top 10 in defensive rebounding. De'Aaron Fox, 20 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. Buddy Hield, 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists for him. And Harrison Barnes, 15 points a game, 5 boards for Sacramento. Now, Toronto on the other side, losers of 3 out of their last 5. They also went just 1-4 against the spread in those 5 games. The Raptors rank in the bottom 10 in defensive rebounding, bottom 10 in road offensive field goal percentage. Gasol and Van Fleet, they are listed as questionable. Hernandez is out. Now the Raptors are 3-0 to the over in their last 3, 17-13 to the over on the road. Meanwhile, Sacramento 3-0 to the over in their last 3 themselves. I'm going to lean Sacramento plus 6 and the over 226 and a hook in that contest. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some shoutouts brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage, where once again we improved to 13-3 in our last 16 NBA tier package plays on that site. Shout out to Guardian Angel, Perfume Torsi, Mexico's 31 Tapia, Stephen Lewis, Anthony James, Chris Grays, Booty Lovers, Vernon Williard, the Comical Canadian, RMS, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to Ulysses Hayes. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Sunday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.